Welcome to the Uncontested podcast, talking Oklahoma City Thunder basketball and the wider NBA.
Sam Presti said, lower the hatch, load up the cannon, and get the tank out rolling.
Catch new episodes after each Thunder game and every Sunday night.
This is a house of learning doctors.
Follow the Uncontested on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to catch new content as it drops.
I mean, a cat and a dog connected together?
This is Dort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up? Welcome to the Uncontested podcast. We are a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, coming to you live Sunday, July 18th. We are on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for our weekly live stream. If you're joining us tonight live, thanks so much. If you listen to the podcast version of this on Monday or Tuesday, we appreciate you as well. Please go drop a 5-star rating on whatever app you are using to listen to this podcast. It would mean a ton to us. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob. Got Taylor Peterson along with me tonight.
So I had the office door shut. And I didn't realize this until we started podcasting, but there's a fly buzzing around in here. So I'm not sure if you guys are Breaking Bad fans, but I feel like Walt and Jesse in the Fly episode.
I do not watch that show.
Oh,
I also have not watched Breaking Bad.
Such a good show.
I'm
the thing is
found your guys' summer homework.
Is like that. I would be willing to watch that show, but Mr. Niffin Jacob, he does not watch popular Netflix shows. Like he didn't watch The Office, he didn't watch Tiger King. It took him a real long time to watch Parks and Rec.
Yes,
if you're looking for anything popular, it's a no. But if you're looking Fast and Furious movies, it's a yes.
I haven't got to see the new one yet. That's happening this week. We've also got Kamyar live on the stream here, who is dying of being old. He turned 30 a couple weeks ago, and it's just been all downhill.
Just went downhill.
Yeah, I probably was something that I worked out yesterday, and then I got up, and my lower back was awful, and so I've been on heating pads all day, and then hasn't been very fun. Oh yeah, and I got a dog DNA test kit because I was really curious about one of my dogs, and when we swabbed his mouth, you have to put it back in a container and put some shake it up.
We
for
did
some
that
solution
for Brody.
Okay, so you know, and okay, that's really cool, Marcus. And when Amanda gave me the swab back so I could put it in the container, I accidentally dropped it on my rug. And I picked it back up real fast and I put it in the solution. I shook it up and then we mailed it off. And
did it have floaties in the solution?
Did I have what?
Like floaties, like shit from your rug?
I don't think so. But so
like human hair, like your other dog's hair.
That's what I'm. So I was worried about that. It would say like he came back as like part Turkish because the rug is Turkish. And but
congrats, your dog's Persian.
And then I got an email back today that said, "Hey, there's something wrong with your swab, so we're sending you an extra one." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, guys," as if I didn't know that I dropped it on my rug before I sent it to him.
Let's hope Doggy DNA does not listen to the Uncontested and find out that Kamyar really just
got a free DNA
test. I was so excited too. They're like, "Oh, we received your little test kit." I was like,
"You're like, yes!"
And I'm so excited to find out what this guy is. And then it's a no-go. So we got to redo the process.
So Brody was basically, just to completely take us off topic here, he was almost half and half Chihuahua Jack Russell, but then there was like a random 10-15% just like all these other random breeds, like 10 or 15 of them. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm afraid Bear's going to be like 12 different things, and also Draymond being Team USA's best player right now is not good for Team America.
Hey, NBA draft prospect Garuba is having a pretty good game though.
Good for him getting some last minute
opportune time
for some scouts. So
100%.
Speaking of Taylor, great segue there. As we count down, we are 9, 10, 11 days away from the NBA draft. We also have Nick Crane joining the pod live from his library.
A wild Nick appeared.
It's my favorite library because I would read all of those books.
I've already read them all. They're all pretty good. I can vouch for them.
He's got the Cat in the Hat over there. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. We don't cancel Dr. Seuss here on the Uncontested. All right, I'm done. I promise. I promise.
Gee,
Speaking of the NBA draft, we are like 10 or 11 days away. It is coming quickly. I think we're going to start to get a lot more rumors and draft scuttle coming out as the NBA finals are approaching its end. But guys, I wanted to talk a little bit tonight. As some of our listeners know, I am a teacher for a living. So Kalmiar and I both are on summer break right now, which means we do absolutely nothing, and my sleep schedule is botched. So I don't go to bed till like 2 or 3 a.m. That's where I'm at right now. And so at about 1 a.m. last night, I got really bored, and I decided to do some draft data that I've been wanting to look at for a while. So I wanted to read off this draft data to everyone here listening to the show, and then I wanted to do an activity with this as well. So the data that I decided to look up, I wanted to see what are the odds of picking an all-star when you look at where a player is selected in the draft. So I decided let's look at a large swath of draft years. Let's break it down into tiers and see how many players in those tiers become an all-star or an all-NBA player. I figured it's unfair to look at the 2020 or the 2019 or the 2018 draft because those kids are just still so young. They haven't had a chance to become an all-star, right? Makes sense. So instead, the data I looked at was from the 07 draft through the 2016 draft. That's 10 years of draft prospects. And the tiers I broke it into are picks 1 through 4 and then picks 5 through 9. I looked at everybody picked in that range to figure out what are your odds of selecting an all-star or an all-NBA caliber player. Here's what I found. If you are picking 1 through 4 in that 10-year span, people taking 1 through 4 in the draft, 47.5% of those players became NBA All-Stars. 35% of those players became All-NBA, either first, second, or third team. Then you look at picks 5 through 9 in those same draft years, those 10 years. Picks 5 through 9, only 20% of those players became All-Stars. 18% of them made an All-NBA team. So
that's a drop-off for sure.
The odds literally get chopped in half after you go from pick 1 through 4 to pick 5 through 19. Well, here in 2021, the NBA draft is approaching. And as we all know, the Thunder have the 6th overall pick. Now, the odds over that 10-year span say that 20%, 1 out of 5 players will become an all-star. Well, there's 5 selections between 5 and 9. So every year in 5 through 9, the odds tell you that one of those guys will become an all-star. I want us to look at some of the guys that might be selected 5 through 9 and see if we can figure out which one of them will become an all-star. So I've compiled a list. I've kind of combed through the mock drafts, as I think everybody has. And I've looked at a lot of these projected players. And here's the list I have. And I want us to decide which of these guys we think has the best chance of becoming an NBA All-Star. The players we're looking at: Scotty Barnes, Jonathan Kuminga, James Bouknight, Franz Wagner, Davion Mitchell, Alperen Şengün, Josh Giddey, Jalen Johnson, and Keon Johnson. So let's just start at the top of the list, discuss each of these prospects, and try to see if we can boil it down to an agreement between all 4 of us on which one of these guys we think will end up becoming the All-Star. So, Nick, I'm going to throw it over to you first. Let's talk top of the list, Scotty Barnes. Out of all these guys, do you think Scotty Barnes has the potential to be the all-star out of that list, and why or why not?
So he's a weird one. This is going to sound like a weird answer. I think he could end up being one of the best players on the list, but I don't necessarily think that results in an all-star appearance. He's got that style of play that I think he's going to be a huge impact on winning. He's going to be a highly sought-after type of player. He brings all the skill sets you want, but he's not going to be, the guy that drops 25 a night and gets all the votes, especially if he's in Oklahoma City, right? It's just going to be really, really tough. So I'd give him a good shot to hit one of those thresholds, but I'm not going to hold my breath just because of his style of play and what he does.
Kamir, any thoughts on Scotty? Before you answer that, I do want to mention I have Kevin O'Connor's big board pulled up, and I wanted to read off for each of these guys. Kevin O'Connor doesn't do comps. He does, quote, shades of. So for Scotty, he has Draymond Green and Pascal Siakam as shades of for Scotty Barnes.
Man, I don't know. I think I really agree on what Nick said. He's his set. I mean, he really, really, really small. He could people like to compare him to Draymond Green. The only reason why I see it because he's tall. He's gonna play like a 4 position, and he's good at passing and handling the ball. And that's it. There are so many other players you could compare him to. I just, because of his skill set, the highest or B is not something that's like an all or a guy that's gonna come. Maybe he might make an all. Like, are you saying all NBA? Or are you talking about like an all NBA team? Like, remember when Tony Allen was defending somebody actively and he was like team all defense? Are you talking about kind of all NBA all team?
No, just like being selected to an all-star game in their career.
I don't so no, but I think it'd be really special. It'd be a really cool role play, like Jeremy Grant. I mean, the best won't make an all-star team. Jeremy Grant in the East might actually eventually an all-star team. So it just depends. But I don't see in the West anytime soon.
I think that's fair. And also, Kamir, to kind of go along with your point there, the all-star game is very much predicated on like counting stats. And I don't see Scotty being a 23, 24 night per game scorer, So Taylor, anything else to add on Scotty Barnes?
This is one I'm like pushing back 100% on. I think Scotty's ceiling is just like maybe higher than even some of the consensus top 4 picks in this draft. I made this comparison on this last podcast and doing some more research and looking back into it. He's almost like I said Ben Simmons. He's almost like anti-Ben Simmons, right? Where Ben Simmons was a consensus point guard coming into the draft, basically a jumbo point guard with just incredible IQ and court vision. And maybe in the NBA, like we've seen, especially with the Sixers, he's more of a 4 or 5 who can play like some point forward, even point center. I think Scotty should be a point. I think he can play some point guard. I'll put it that way. I think if you have him on the floor, even if you're starting him, quote unquote, in the power forward position, just like we talked about earlier in this offseason, we were doing player grades for the Thunder. Shea was really listed as a small forward, but obviously he was the lead ball handler. He was playing the point guard role for the Thunder. I think you're going to have, if the Thunder, in this hypothetical situation were to draft Scotty, I think they're going to be Shea and Scotty are going to be your 2 lead ball handlers. And so because of that, I think it's just a perfect fit for him. If he finds that fit with that team who don't just pigeonhole him into a 4 or a 5, he probably won't reach that ceiling. But I think he has that in him. I really, really do. Not just because of the IQ, not because of the court vision. His defense is stellar. I think he's of all the players in the draft, I think he has the highest potential and opportunity to be all defensive NBA team at some point in his career. But I think the offense is going to get there as well. And, we keep talking about his freshman year, not us, but just general NBA evaluators keep talking about his freshman year at Florida State. But like, I don't take a lot of stock into 1 year in college. Rather, it's, again, fit. We saw a lot of Kentucky guys. Shea's a perfect example, who are kind of put into roles. They don't really get to show their full game. The game's completely different. We had all the COVID stuff going on. I think there's a lot more offensive versatility that Scotty possesses that we haven't seen yet. And he's one of those guys, speaking of Shea, that kind of reminds me of somebody who just continues to improve and build on their game each and every offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if he develops more of a jumper. It already looks better in the combine. I don't know. I think Scotty absolutely will make an all-star game at some point in his career, as long as he's like I said, he doesn't go like the Bagley route where he's stuck in like a bad situation right out of the draft. He's in like a example OKC. I think would be perfect.
Yeah, I'm with Kamiar. I don't like the Draymond comp a ton. I do kind of like the Pascal Siakam comp, and I see a little bit of Jeremy Grant there too. So that's an interesting one. Nick, I'm coming back to you to start off with our next guy, which is Jonathan Kuminga. Kevin O'Connor, his shades of for Kuminga, Danny Granger, Luol Deng, Jeff Green.
He's another super high risk, high reward. I think it's so tough with him because he's all over the board at this point on kind of what guys think he is. I would put him at a higher chance than Scotty. I know that wasn't the question. And considering the guys that we're going through here, I would definitely put him up there. He kind of gets put in negative light for his creation ability and some of his offensive stuff. I think it's a little bit overblown. Like, he showed some really impressive things against grown men in the G League this past season. I'm probably higher on him than most, but I would definitely consider him a candidate to be an all-star at some point.
Come here.
No, yeah, I agree. I know a lot of people were still really big on Scotty Barnes, and people are especially now really big on James Bouknight just because there's things linking him in OKC to OKC really likes Scotty Barnes. Whoever reported that the other day, and okay, and so I really like, but I've always really liked Kuminga. I mean, like, I know people want to compare him to. I saw, what was it? Oh, was it Chris Bosh? Did somebody say Chris Bosh at one point?
I've heard Chris Bosh for Evan Mobley. I don't know if I've heard it for Kuminga.
But I can see Kuminga being a dude that, again, like Nick says, high risk, high reward. I mean, this is where you are. This is what you get in the lottery. I mean, how many times did who was it that drafted Johnny Flynn? It was over Steph. How many times?
Minnesota.
Oh my goodness, man! Like, but that's one of those high risk, high rewards, right? He looked really, really good at Syracuse, I think, and so I think that Jonathan Kuminga, I mean, just along with the big wing, he could be a great defender for you, and I think with the high reward, he ends up being something like a big kind of Jaylen Brown, that's
the one I was going to throw out there.
He also can be. If he like settles into like a role player role, I guess it'd be like a lesser OG Anunoby or Al-Farouq Aminu. In worst case scenario, he's just like out of the league in like 5 years. And like I know I hated Al-Farouq Aminu importantly just because we played him so much in OKC. But Al-Farouq Aminu was a good role player for them.
Yeah.
One weird thing about him, and it's similar to Sharif Cooper. I've seen him listed everywhere from 6'6" to 6'9". And that's a huge difference in his ceiling as a player. If he's 6'6", like, he's really just an undersized shooting guard, type sized guy. If he's 6'9" and can be that jumbo wing, like, it's a different story.
Yeah,
I'm seeing 6'7".
Spike Lee said this: "It's got to be the shoes, Jay."
I'm and Taylor, before you go real quick here on Jonathan Kuminga, I don't know a ton about draft prospects. I can't watch guys and project where they are. I mean, the people that can do that are making a crap ton of money from NBA franchises. But smart people that I think are good at it, the Mike Schmitz, the Jonathan Gavonis, the Sam Vicinis, these different people that are iffy on Kuminga because some of the things like the IQ and the attention to detail and he's always grown up just being the biggest and strongest guy. I don't know. I start to get worried that I'm getting like some Harrison Barnes, Rudy Gay type vibes. And not that either of those are bad players. Those are like rotational players in the league, but they're never going to be like the focal point of a team. They're never going to be your 1B on a deep playoff run type of team. That's where some of my skepticism for Kuminga comes from. As I worry, does he just become one of those type of guys? So, sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
And
Rudy
I
Gay
think
in
the
Toronto
floor
was good.
fair. And
Yes.
so
Rudy
like,
Gay
I
in
think-
Memphis was good.
So the ceiling for Kuminga is he's a all-star, maybe borderline superstar. I think like midway point would kind of be what you just described, Jacob, like Rudy Gay type of player. Floor, though, this is the player like I keep thinking about because it just reminds me of the kind of prospect that he is. Not necessarily, their games were kind of similar heading into the draft, but Jabari Parker, right? Just like relies
I like that.
like so much on athleticism. I know in the pre-draft process that Jabari Parker was really working on his outside shot, and it looked really, really good. It kind of even sold over some of the decision makers that were watching some of his workouts, and people felt better about it. But as we all know, injuries mainly were the main reason for that, but it just didn't work out with Jabari. Again, another guy I think that fit's really going to matter for him if he gets in the right situation. He shows flashes of making incredible plays and playmaking. He shows flashes with his jump shot. I think his jumper can be, I don't want to say fixed, but improved in the right situation. But just like that fast twitch athleticism, it's just absurd. Maybe like the most explosive player in this draft, maybe next to like Jalen Green. I think they're both kind of on the same plane in terms of like just stellar athleticism. So Kuminga absolutely has, like, I think like Nick was saying originally, has the most all-star potential of anybody on this list. But there's just so many more unknowns. Regardless, he's the kind of player I don't mind taking a flyer over. I really like James Bouknight. I did, or Bouknight, or however you want to pronounce it. I did a lot of research on him. Well, he played against TU, so I had none of them some. I watched his one-on-one that he had with Mike Schmitz of ESPN, but I really kind of did a deep dive this weekend. And I wouldn't be mad if OKC drafted a Bouknight or like a Sengun or, somebody like that. I'd rather take a swing on a guy like Kuminga. So I think I'm with Nick and Kamiar in terms that he probably has the most all-star potential here.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to the next guy. Taylor's kind of alluded to him here. Nick, I'm coming back to you. James Bouknight out of UConn is the next one on our list. Shades of by Kevin O'Connor, Donovan Mitchell, CJ McCollum, Jordan Clarkson.
I'm much less high on him than a lot. I know there's a lot of traction on Thunder Twitter, kind of gravitating towards him. I think him at 6 is a huge reach. At 10 through 14, maybe. I think everything would have to go right for him to be an all-star level player. Like, there's a lot of guys that can score the ball. His assist numbers were low. His turnover numbers are high. I just see him. I see him being a solid 6th man, and that's not going to get you an all-star bid.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people comp him to like Jordan Clarkson with Utah.
Yes.
I see a little more CJ McCollum in him, and McCollum's also never made an all-star team.
True.
I see some CJ McCollum in him, but he's an interesting one. Kamiar, any thoughts on Bouknight?
Unless he develops into like a real serious guy, I agree with Nick again. He reminds me of, I told you guys, like Zach LaVine and Deion Waiters. Somebody it's like not their body types, but their style of play. Not doing much for you defensively, but he's big, he's long. I agree with the Clarkson comparison, same kind of situation. I think that's the highest he can be. Like if Zach LaVine and whatever, Clarkson is, they might make an all-star game or like an event, but I don't think
season.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think he's going to ever be an all-star or make that or be an MVP or anything.
Yeah, like I really like the idea of Bouknight alongside Shea on the Thunder for multiple reasons. But in terms of all-star potential, yeah, it's much, much lower than the first two guys we mentioned. One comparison that I saw that I actually don't hate is like a Jamal Murray. He's built a little differently, but I like that kind of very similar in the sense of kind of the role that I think that he could play on an NBA team. But yeah, I'm not convinced he's going to make an all-star team.
All right. I think I'm a little higher on Bouknight than the rest of you guys. I think he's got a little more of a chance just from his dynamic, like can score at 3 levels. His build, I know, Kamiar, you mentioned Dion Waiters as far as play style, but not as build. His build and his athleticism, I see. I'm not saying he's this guy, but I'm seeing a little bit of John Morant there as far as the explosiveness and the ability to get above the rim and the quick twitch. I see a little bit of that in the way he moves. So, all right, next guy, Franz Wagner. Kevin O'Connor comps him. Lamar Odom, Danilo Gallinari, Xavier Tillman. Nick, what are your thoughts on Franz?
I'm higher on him than I am Mo, although Mo has had a solid little Olympic run here. His defense is better than people think.
Yep.
He's a better playmaker than people think. All that to say, I still don't think he's a lottery talent. I think he's, and I'm not just saying this because of what Jacob's going to say, but I think he's somewhere in between like a Gordon Hayward and a Joe Harris.
Or like a Bogdanovich.
Yeah. I just
all the white European players.
Anything similar with these guys?
White European.
I just don't think
Joe Harris.
He does a lot of things solid. Like he's for his size, he's a good defender from multiple positions. He can pass. I just don't think he does anything great.
So
I don't think he has a chance.
Sizes are a little different here, as well as I think athleticism between the two. But I think of his role being similar to that of what we've seen with Cam Johnson for the Phoenix Suns. I don't think Franz is going to be like making an all-star game. Again, not to compare their games directly there, but just like in terms of the role he'll play for a team and the right role, I could see him doing that for a very long time in the league.
He's a glue
which
guy
is great.
For sure. To
Right. But not an all-star.
Gives me major Sam Decker vibes. I'm out.
Oh, wow. That ain't good.
Sam Decker.
I remember making Sam Pecker jokes back in the day.
He was
supposed to be. He was a
them.
sweetener in the Chris Paul trade to Houston.
Yep.
Wasn't very sweet.
Remember when he fell down flat on his face, like trying to reach a ball, like he tripped over himself? That's fantastic. Love that.
I think we don't need to talk about Franz anymore. Let's move on to the next guy, Davion Mitchell. When we look at Kevin O'Connor's breakdown here, he's got Davion Mitchell, Drew Holiday, Donovan Mitchell, Norman Powell, which I think is very high praise, and I would not put Davion in that tier. Nick, what do you think?
If he was 19 years old, I think obviously the whole aura around him would be a little bit different. He's just so old relative to other draft prospects. His offensive leap that last season at Baylor was so significant that I almost don't buy it, if that makes sense.
The shooting percentage from three, for sure, right?
Like, he was not an offensive player by any stretch of the imagination, had a really, really good final college season. If he continues that, he's going to be damn good for somebody. He can lock down defensively. I just don't know if I buy it. But, he could be that guy that goes 14 to the Warriors because no one wanted to take a gamble on his age, and he ends up being a freaking all-star. Like what he showed in college is all-star level stuff. Is that something he can carry on? I don't know.
What he showed in this last season, I don't know. Like you said, Nick, his product as a whole is what really worries me. And maybe that's unfair because, I just made a counter argument about that with Scotty Barnes, only 1 year in college. Don't take too much stock into that. But like you said, we did see more of that with Davion because he did play longer in college. Again, just another role comparison, not comparing games or at skills directly, but like Marcus Smart, less of a defender. I don't think he'll reach that level defensively, but that kind of role for a contending team, it's kind of where I see him fitting, especially if he goes to Golden State, being able to knock down outside shots, create for some other teammates, although to a much lesser level than some all-stars, like obviously Steph, and then being able to play solid defense. And he's a competitor. So he's a guy that everybody's going to root for, love having on your team. Don't think he'll be an all-star.
I think, I don't know. Actually, I know about Jake. Do you, Nick or Taylor, how much college hoops do you guys watch?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to say
okay.
I watch more NBA, but I watch a fair share of
right. Okay.
Big 12.
So, because I watch a ton of Big 12 basketball, and the way he played all year was surprising to me. And then people really got to know his name just because of how he played in the tournament. He just ripped off game after game after game. And you saw what he did in the national title game against like Gonzaga, which has other, NBA
NBA
the top
talent.
5. Yeah. And he just like killed it. And he's so thick and he's a little bit older. And he just like overwhelmed opponents, and he overwhelmed everybody, especially in that Gonzaga game where you have 3 legit NBA prospects, top 14 NBA prospects right there on the court. And he was just so good. And so I wonder about his jump because he was a good player last year, but he wasn't this good last year. And I think that a team like the Warriors would make sense for him just because they are ready to win now. And I think he could be a guy you could throw on the floor and he'll at least play good defense for you and be able to facilitate offense. But I don't think he's ever going to be an all-star.
The only thing that concerns me a bit is the fact that from the start of the tournament till they won the championship, he went from a consensus like mid to late 20s guy to a potential top 10. I mean, yeah, the tournament's the biggest stage. Like he balled out, he did his thing, but I don't know if that warrants jumping, 15 spots.
It's the same thing as Shabazz Napier. Remember when he killed it in the tournament?
And how's he doing in the league?
Yeah, he had like Oklahoma media being like Shabazz, like even on Twitter the night before they even pick. And they went with.
Remember LeBron wanted him so bad that the Heat went and drafted him, like all those rumors. Yeah.
And then he was out. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on Davion Mitchell, and you guys can push back against this all you want. I'd love to hear counterpoints to this, but you guys have mentioned how well he played this past season, how he just like Comier said, annihilated everybody in the tournament. The kid was 22. Right, going up against like a 19-year-old Jaylen Suggs, an 18 or 19-year-old on this other team. Like if Jaylen Suggs was 22, and Davion Mitchell was 22, like I think Jaylen Suggs is pushing him around, right? Like Jaylen was in college and had a college weight program for 1 year. Davion's had it for 4, and we talk about like making the jump. Has Davion already made his jump? Is he at his peak as a basketball player? Right. I mean, he'll undoubtedly like tighten things up a little bit more, but I think some of these other younger guys have much more of a leap to make. And so I'm out on him.
That's why I mentioned his age.
I think like you guys said, it again, like all of these, in terms of the fit, like if he goes to a team like the Warriors, who are a good team, have gone through injuries, which is why they're picking high as they are, I think that's a really good fit, really good pick for a team like the Warriors. But if you're a young team like the Thunder or any of these top 5 teams, like you shouldn't waste a top pick like that drafting Davion Mitchell. I agree.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit? And not that this player is bad by any means. I don't think they ever improved a ton.
Yeah.
Like Buddy Hield came out of OU old.
That's a good one.
And he went as a top pick. Not to say he was a bust or anything like that, but how much has Buddy Hield improved in the past 5 years?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I can't tell just considering he's, Kangs, right? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell about those guys.
That's the ultimate test right there. All right, let's move on to our next guy. That's a lot on Davion Mitchell. Next guy, a guy that I hope the Thunder draft so we can hear Taylor pronounce his name every post game. Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun. Let me look up here what Kevin O'Connor has. Shades of Nikola Vucevic, Domantas Sabonis, Enes Kanter. The Enes Kanter one, big guys from
Lazy
Turkey.
Comparison.
That's what you got to do. Nick, feelings on Sengun?
I like him a lot. Assuming he can get a jumper, because that dude he's listed 6'10". I don't even know if he's 6'10", dude.
Did you see the picture of him next to Hassan Whiteside?
He seems
like he doesn't seem way smaller than Hassan.
Right. But he's not a 7-footer.
No,
but he's
he's got some strength.
He's like 245 pounds, which is great.
Right.
But I just like if he can't develop a jump shot, there's not a center in this league. Like Bam can stretch the floor a little bit, but there's not a center in this league that's 6'9" and can just bully guys. You know.
Okay, let me throw something out here, Nick, and see what you think of this. Especially one of the shades of that KOC had. Şengün did not shoot the ball very much in Turkey. Started to later on in the season. Has good free throw numbers. Looks like he has a good stroke. We didn't see a lot of it on tape. I get a little bit of Domantas Sabonis from that because Sabonis never shot the ball from deep at Gonzaga. Came to OKC that first year, and that's all they asked him to do was space the floor. Right?
It was worse than Giannis at the free throw line. Like it was, he didn't shoot a free throw for forever until like almost the end of the season. And
I wonder if there's a little of something there, Nick. As far as he didn't shoot it because that's not what his team over in Turkey wanted him to do, but maybe he does have a pretty good stroke. And an NBA team is definitely going to encourage him to do that.
I'll tell you what he does have is a little bit of that Jokic fadeaway.
Yes.
It is the goofiest looking thing, and he like moonshots it.
But
he,
it works.
Turn around and he it's the weirdest looking thing, but it goes in.
He's able to maneuver his body in a super strange way, but he's able to keep his balance, which is so impressive. I don't want to say he avoids contact, but he's a very strong player in the post, but you don't see, I don't know. I'm so torn on him. I think it's the jumper. You mentioned the jumper, Nick. Like, I think the jumper is there. The foundation's there. I think when he gets with an NBA team, it's going to be just fine. I mean, obviously we saw that in the videos when he was working out with somebody, right? He has no choice. Absolutely. Which is why I think we saw Steven Adams working out with the guard whisperer or whatever and shooting 3-pointers here a month ago. But I mean, there's also I saw him like doing some step back 3-point shots. Not often, but those are in the highlight reels. But still, like he can do it. But it's the defense that really worries me. I just, like you said, he's shorter than a lot of those guys he's going to be guarding, whether he's at the power forward position or the center position.
No, I don't think you can play him at the 4. If you play him at the 4, he is going to get cooked. You have to play him at the 5, and I worry he's too small to defend 5s.
That man Baisley would cook him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm out on Şengün, guys. I'm hoping OKC will get a big forward so they don't have to draft a guy like Şengün. I don't know how much the Thunder even like him, but I would much rather see Jonathan Kuminga and Scotty Barnes and Josh Giddey than I would rather have James Bouknight and Alperen Şengün. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but that's how I feel about it.
Nate in the chat is killing me. But I didn't notice that. There was a teaser that Mike Schmitz tweeted out. He's doing some film breakdowns. And he had a translator with him, which is really interesting.
Yeah, Şengün does not speak English, which I can't even imagine.
I can't either. Oh my gosh.
Social barriers after he gets drafted and comes over to America. Like, is your translator just with you 24/7? How are you communicating on the basketball court with your teammates? How are you ordering lunch? How are you shopping for a house? Like I just the social barriers for an 18, 19-year-old moving to a country that you've never been to before and unable to communicate has to be incredibly challenging.
Yep.
Incredibly challenging. So, all right, next guy on the list. Kamir just mentioned him. From down under, we have Josh Giddey. KOC, shades of Joe Ingles, Kyle Anderson, Evan Turner.
I don't really like those.
The Joe Ingles one, I can see a little bit. Not only from the Aussie connection, but like the Joe Ingles is a really good passer, handles the ball in pick and roll, is a lot taller. I can see a little bit of that.
I don't like any of those comps, to be honest. From what I've seen, I don't know if I can find a better one. Like I'm calling that out.
Keandre from Hoop Intellect has him as a taller Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the lazy comparison, but one that I think is a little better than the ones that KOC threw out is like Ben Simmons, right? Like a very tall playmaking lead ball handler, but not necessarily just a point guard.
The athleticism, though.
But yes, he doesn't have the athleticism, and the shot's about the same level, which worries me.
Yeah. So Nick, can Josh Giddey be the all-star in the 5 to 9 range?
Yeah.
Oh wow! So. I did not think you were going to say that.
I think so. I mean, we've seen him triple-double quite a bit on the big stage, throughout their big tournament over there in the postseason. I don't know. He just has the intangibles to do it. I think he's limited as an athlete. He's not a score-first guy, but at the same time, when Luka came over, he was not a score-first guy. He averaged 12 points a game his last season overseas. Some guys just kind of flip a switch, and when they get asked to score the ball, they do it. but we know he can rebound for his size. We know he can pass for his size. If he becomes a solid offensive player and averages, 18, 10, and 8, might make an all-star team.
Kamiar, have any thoughts on Josh?
I mean, I'm not that high on him. But then again, I'm not as low on him as like you guys are on Keon Johnson. I think he could be really special, but I don't think he could be anything like an all-star guy. I think he'd be like a really good role player, a really good starter in the league. But I don't see him being an all-star or anything.
Yeah, I see him as being more of a lower ceiling kind of guy, personally.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree.
Let's move on to we can group the last two together. I think we have the two Johnsons, Jaylen and Keon. I know Nick is higher on Jaylen Johnson than I think the rest of us are, but either of these guys have all-star potential.
Jaylen easily.
I think Jaylen has the talent. I really do. I agree with Nick. I think it's more so just his mentality and his personality. Again, like the team he goes to is so important here because he's either going to be off the court in 1 or 2 seasons, or he is going to get on the right track and have a really good career. Because even with everything that went on, all the uncertainty, he's still, I mean, again, like just a perfect example, he was invited to the green room because there's a high chance he does go late lottery or right outside of it. So I think I'm with you, Nick. The talent's there for sure.
If I had to choose one of the two to be an all-star, I would choose Keon. I would choose Keon to put the tools together eventually to pair with the insane athleticism over Jaylen. But that's just my personal take.
If Jaylen didn't leave Duke early, I think he's a lock at 5.
Oh wow.
I really do. Like he is like go watch his transition game. Like when he's in the open court and he's a solid defender too. Like his transition game is absurd. Like he can finish in traffic, he can push the ball. In the modern NBA, when you're just pushing, like he is going to be a stud.
So we've gone through all the guys I have on the list here that could go 5 through 9. Once again, Scotty Barnes, Jonathan Kuminga, James Bouknight, Franz Wagner, Davion Mitchell, Alperen Şengün, Josh Giddey, Jaylen Johnson, Keon Johnson. If you guys have to pick one of those guys, because the odds are only one of those guys becomes an all-star / all NBA performer. If you've got to pick one, which one are you going with?
Jaylen Johnson.
Ooh.
Jonathan Kuminga.
And I'm going Scotty Barnes.
Okay, then I'll keep the theme here and keep not doubling up on one. I'll go Bouknight.
I like it. I like it a lot. See, and I think that's what we're seeing, like with us doing this exercise, is what we've seen with analysts, with scouts, with GMs.
It's all over
the entire
place.
league. Exactly.
Can I ask a question to flip it on its head real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So we know the top 5. Give us statistics for top 4 was the threshold?
Top 4, yeah. You want those numbers again?
Yeah.
Players drafted in the top 4 between 07 and 16. 47.5% to become an all-star, 35% to be an all-NBA player.
So it's roughly 20% of a bump.
Yes.
Okay.
Double. You're doubling.
So with that in mind, I'm going to be the pessimist. I'm going to be the Kamiar here. Are you willing to trade away a whole bunch of draft capital knowing that you still got less than a 50% chance of that happening?
Yes.
That's a good point.
If it's trade 6, 16, 18, and 3 future firsts, including next year's Clippers pick. So you trade 6 picks away to get 3 or 4, especially in the top 4 in this class. I think I'm doing it because if you tell me I have either a coin flip or a 1 in 5 chance, I'm playing the odds. I
just really, I know I'm
we know 16 and 18 is going to be even lower percentage to land a guy like that. And then those 3 future firsts, at the end of the day, what is the percentage chance that one of them ends up being 1 through 5? It's pretty slim. So I would throw all of those in. It's really, this is a question of, do you want a whole bunch of darts with one eye closed to throw at the dartboard? Or do you want one dart, both eyes open, bright lit room, and one step forward to throw at the dartboard?
You can see what you get. I really already really like next year's draft, even more than this one.
you're never going to make all the picks. I'm cashing them in, and I'm getting my better percentage chance.
Yeah.
Just my personal opinion, though. Speaking of the draft, let's continue on with some draft talk here. I went to DraftKings.com to look up some of the over-unders for players and where they will get drafted at. I'm going to go around in a round table here, ask you guys, and you're going to give me either over or under. All right? Kamiar, you're first up. Zaire Williams. He's over under at 18.5. Will he get drafted in the top 18 or later?
Take the under.
Ooh, okay. How much under do you think?
Not much under 18.5.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Touche.
Like I could see him in 1920.
Yeah,
Taylor,
exactly. I can
Keon,
see it.
this one's wild to me, and this one's
I
easy
know.
money to me. Taylor,
8.5?
Keon Johnson at 8.5.
Oh yeah, give me the under there. I think he goes more towards like bottom lottery, even right outside of the lottery.
You mean
Yeah,
the over then?
over.
Or the over? Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at that different. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Keon's more like 13 through 20.
right. I agree.
Nick, Alperen Şengün at 13.5.
Over.
Over. Wow. How much over?
I think he's 16 to 18 range.
Wow. If he's there and I'm the Thunder and I still have 16 and 18, I take him.
16,
Yeah,
18
agreed.
range, huh?
Kamiar, back to you. This one was also wild to me. Davion Mitchell at 8.5.
That's way over. Holy crap.
That's what I
Eight
think.
and a
I
half?
don't know. I think that one's banking on all the rumors of Mitchell to
State.
Golden State. Yeah,
I don't think I don't think this is a hot take either. I don't think Golden State keeps the picks.
don't
They're
either.
moving off of them. They're moving off of them.
Yep.
Taylor, James Bouknight at 10.5.
This one's pretty accurate, but I'm still going under. I think he'll be top 10 and not 10. I'll put it that way.
I agree with you. I don't think he gets past Orlando at 8.
Yep. Agreed.
I don't think he gets past Orlando at
Speaking of, Orlando's going to have a hell of a draft.
Yeah,
They've already got a lot of talent, man.
8.
I've been thinking about that. They're in a really good position.
Nick Moses Moody at 12.5.
Way under.
Yeah,
Like top 10?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of think so. Also,
I think clutch guy. They only signed the best of the best. He had a great pro day. He's got the huge wingspan. He can shoot. He can defend. Like, he's got everything you want in a player.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 9 to the Kings.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that makes some sense. I like him.
I do too.
I do
He's
too.
awesome. He's great.
I
I'd
do
take him
too.
over. I'd take him over Bouknight. His shooting stroke
which is I think that's fair.
I think Bouknight has a higher ceiling, but I think Moses has a much, much higher floor.
I'd
I
be
think-
very happy with Moody.
I think Moody is going to be a very, very, very good role player in this league.
Robert Covington, eh?
Yeah, or better. Or better.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, Taylor, you want to take us on a trip through the comments real quick?
Let's do it
Pull up any questions before
with this
we
cool
get on
new
to,
chat overlay feature that I have found out. Although it's
There
not
you go.
coming up for me, but that's okay. So Marcus Kruger had a pretty fun fact. I'll go ahead and share while I'm looking for other questions. An OU chemistry professor was the science advisor for Breaking Bad. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. So Sean's making fun of Nick's connection there. We lost Nick's video. And his making fun of his lighting. Okay, here's a good one. Arvin asks, if Barnes gets taken before 6, would you guys be okay taking either Bouknight or Giddey over Kuminga?
I'd trade down to do it.
I think that's probably the smart plan, right? If you know somebody's really, really high on Kuminga. I don't know. I mentioned my apprehension on Kuminga earlier. I think if anyone has the chance to get this kid to buy in and to develop him and to get him to a better place, it's Oklahoma City. And
Yep.
so I'd roll the dice there if I'm OKC. If it's Kuminga at 6, I'd take Kuminga.
I agree
Same.
with that.
Same.
We have a lot of a couple questions here when we were going through Bouknight. I know we spent a lot of time on him. So Sean asked, or not asked, but he basically was making the comparison of Lou Williams, like a Lou Williams type, not specifically Lou, but that kind of type of player for Bouknight. What do you guys think about that comparison?
Yeah, that role certainly.
I like that
Lou,
role a
Lou
lot.
Will
I think that's pretty good.
could have started for a lot of years and just embraced the bench role. I don't know if Bouknight could start for years and just wants to be a bench guy. It's kind of a rare thing, but I see him in the role that Lou ultimately played.
I could see Bouknight being more like a Terrence Ross kind of guy.
Yeah.
Which is a similar role.
Yes,
yeah.
For most of his career, like that's why I say like Zach LaVine and Jordan Clarkson. He's a scorer off the bench, and he can really score the ball for you. But I don't see him in a much bigger role.
Yep. So Aiden also asked about Bouknight. He asked Bouknight versus Dort, and Aiden, I'm just inferring here, but I think what you're talking about is like similarities and differences, maybe.
I think he's asking who would you rather have,
or who would you? Okay.
I think that's fun, and as low as I am on Bouknight, I'd rather have Bouknight than Dort.
Oh.
Not to say I would swap them out 1-for-1 right now, but you guys know I'm team trade Dort before you got to pay him. I think
Bouknight has a higher ceiling.
I think if you can draft, if you trade 16 and 18 to get 10, and you take Bouknight at 10, you're hitting those phones and you're trading Lou Dort for a big package.
That's what I wonder. I have wondered about that. Sure. And I think I just a part of me wonders if Presti does, has been thinking about that, has that planned out. But with that being said, Dort is elite enough, I think, on the defensive end that I'm not sure he's already almost there if he isn't already. And I'm not sure Bouknight will ever be elite at anything. So because of that, I still lean Dort.
Am I crazy to think that I just feel like there might be something there with like 6, 16 or 6 and next year's Clippers pick plus Dort to get up to 8. Or sorry, not to 8, to 4 to the Toronto Raptors.
Makes a lot of sense.
I would do it. I've also been thinking about this. This is maybe just random thought time as well. I think a good comp for Jaylen Suggs might be Mike Conley.
Yeah.
Better defensively.
You think Suggs is better defensively?
Dude, Suggs is a great defender.
Conley was a really good defender, though, in Memphis. Suggs has so much more athleticism that I agree, and he has that bulldog mentality that Conley never really has had.
Suggs is like the bulldog. Bulldog defensively
is
the word for him. Like he doesn't care if you're a 10-time All-Star. He is in your grill.
Like I love Jaylen Suggs. Jaylen Suggs is my guy.
If the Thunder had pick number 1, like obviously you have to go. I love Green. Obviously you have to take Cade, but like I almost wonder if the Suggs fit next to Shea is better than any of those guys.
Suggs,
just to your guys' point.
Suggs is also the if you had to ask me like who would be the shocking guy to fall to 6. If Suggs fell to 6 on draft day to the Thunder, I would not be shocked.
If Suggs fell to 6 on the Thunder on draft day, you better call an ambulance because the erection's lasting longer than 4 hours.
No, I'm not saying there's a high. I'm not saying there's a high chance of that happening, but I would not be shocked. I really wouldn't.
I think it was Ryan Russillo said that Jaylen Suggs, of his offensive possessions, 4% of his offensive possessions were isolations.
So that's perfect next to Shea.
Elite next to Shea.
Yeah.
Because Shea was 96% unassisted, so there's the other 4%.
They would have.
Let's stop talking about it. I'm getting too excited already.
Yeah.
We need to move on to the next question.
Yep. I'm with you guys. Aiden, again, so we talked about Giddey there. He has Giddey lamelo comparison.
In the transition passing, I can see it. All the other aspects of the game.
And the jumbo size, but yes.
The passing and the rebounding for sure, but LaMelo is
size.
10 times the score and 10 times the athlete.
Mm-hmm. So here's another fun one, kind of in the same regard from Nate Sanders. If for some reason Barnes and Kuminga are available, who would you take?
For me, this one's Barnes, and it's not particularly close.
Kuminga.
I take Kuminga too.
Okay, so I think Barnes as well. I'm with Jacob. We're splitting that
Ooh.
one. That's fun.
Split down the middle.
And
So-
I also think it's not particularly close.
Woo! Even more
Ooh.
split down the middle.
Civil War.
I like it.
This isn't really a question that we need to answer particularly, but just to Nick's point, Sean also asked this before Nick even brought this up here a little bit ago. Sean said, "Are we sure that Jaylen Suggs doesn't slip to 6?" And that's exactly what Nick was getting at there.
I don't think he
Shout out to
slips to
Carrie.
6. This is the reason why. If you get to 4, if he gets to 4, which we all think he will, and I'm Toronto, I'm telling everybody I'm taking Jaylen Suggs. And if you want him, you better call and offer me something, because in 3 minutes, I'm calling this pick into the commissioner.
Yep.
And he's not getting past 4 because even if past 4, because even if Toronto doesn't want him, they are getting something to give up that pick so somebody else can get him.
I could see the Luka Trey type trade between the Thunder and the Raptors. Like, we know that you don't want Suggs. We'll give you a first round pick next year or the year after, just to swap 4 and 6, and you get the guy that you wanted anyways, and you get your future asset.
I agree with you there. The only reason that I don't think that works is because Orlando's sitting there at 5, and I guarantee you they'll swap up Scotty Barnes. So you have to work out it just gets way too complicated. I think they really like Scotty.
I've heard
I also
that
think
too.
they take Suggs.
I think Kuminga fits better in Orlando. They've
I
got
don't disagree
their
with you.
defensive Florida State jumbo wing already.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
I also think it
I agree.
depends on what Toronto is going to do, right? Are
Right.
they tearing it down? Kyle Lowry's out the door. We're going to trade Pascal Siakam. We're going to go back to the drawing board. Or is it we're giving the fans in Toronto who didn't have a team last year because it was in Tampa one more run at it? And in that case, I could see some sort of trade that's like 6 next year's Clippers pick and Lou Dort for 4 or something like that.
Yeah. So shout out Carrie. Carrie always seems to listen to us when he's traveling, or listen to our live streams while he's traveling. He just landed in Salt Lake City for a layover, and glad that he can listen. Can't wait to listen while he's on his flight home. So shout out Carrie. But he has a question here. He asked, "What package will you guys make? Or sorry, what package will make you guys happy in return for a trade involving Lou Dort?"
Pick 7.
For me, it's a move up.
Yeah, move up.
You wouldn't take pick 7 for Dort straight up?
No, I would.
No.
But what makes me more happy is a
I
trade
don't
up.
know if I do.
You wouldn't take 7, Taylor.
No, I think you can get a similar player of
Taylor
value.
is so married to Dort. I love it.
I am, but I also think you can get a very similar player of value at 16 in this draft as you can at 7. It's just like a
he's
crapshoot.
due for an extension in 1 year.
Pay him.
I
that
love it.
money.
You
I love
want to pay Lou Dort big money.
We got lots of money available.
Paying it too.
This isn't the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook days. Shit, we aren't like bringing Lonzo Ball in as much as we all want to.
Okay, we'll see.
That's good. That's a good question, though. I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder how much vested kind of, not really interest is not the right word, but maybe trust and Shea that Sam Presti had with Russ and KD about like future moves to the roster. I wonder if Shea's being included in those discussions yet, or if it's too early in the process for him to be included in that stuff. Nick is saying no while drinking things.
Dude, Shay's the golden child. Like I mean, he's not making decisions, but they're consulting him for sure.
I think they're moving forward with him in mind. I agree.
I wonder how much that would weigh on a Lou trade then.
Yeah.
So yeah, true. That's a good point. And I've been wondering that as well. They definitely are close candidate ties, but at the same time, to Nick's point here, I think it was last week, like Shea wants to win a championship.
Yeah, I don't think Shea is saying trade Lou to get this guy, but I think if Presti came to him and said we can get this guy, but it's going to take Lou,
we can get Jaylen Suggs, but it's going to take Lou.
I think Shea says I want to win games.
Yeah, exactly. Now
I'll
Colton
go visit
Davis,
Lou in Toronto.
Another Bouknight comparison here. He said, Bouknight, could he be a DeMar DeRozan?
I do. I think so.
DeMar can't shoot from outside of 15 feet, though.
Did you see Jaylen Suggs stats in college?
Wait,
Go
he's
look
talking
at-
about Bouknight.
We're talking about
That's what I meant. Have you seen
Oh, yeah,
Bouknight
gotcha.
stats in college? Is what I meant.
Well, yeah, but I think I think context there is big too. Like, again, I know this stat gets brought up all the time. Bouknight never shot an open shot in college, right? Like, he was the only offense. I think his offense looks much different. And whenever he has space on an NBA court, I think he will be a much different player. I don't see Bouknight being a mid-post, back to the basket kind of guy.
No. But I also think he could be a guy that's a solid scorer without ever being like DeMar DeRozan still shoots threes.
Oh, okay. I think you're referring to like having a DeMar DeRozan type of like career, maybe, where I'm thinking the style of play of DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, got you.
I don't think their styles of play mirror.
No.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm saying like
Yep.
their careers and like being high level scorers without being a Steph Curry 45% shooter from three. I think they're both crafty offensive scorers and could have similar roles
Yeah.
in the NBA
Yeah.
level.
But you know, DeMar lives in like that mid post turn
Yeah.
and just Bouknight's never going to do that. I don't think.
No.
So one more question that we'll actually answer, and then one more question that we'll answer really quickly because it'll be a quick answer. This one is from our Owasso friend, friend of Nick and I's, Nate Sanders, asked, do GMs know the picks before they are shown on TV, or do they literally see if someone is available, then have 5 minutes to come up with a deal? I think my answer from Nate here is that the groundwork for these trades are being laid well in advance, which is why some of these rumors are leaking already 2 weeks out. And yes, they continue, but when you get to, Nate did not go to, sorry. I'm thinking of Matt because
I was about to say, Nate. Sorry
Nate
if I don't remember you, but I
don't. Matt Sanders went to Owasso, and he was texting me here a little bit ago. Anyways, yes, I think GMs know.
if Woj knows, the GMs know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that there's so much communication going on draft night that GMs know who wants to pick who's slated to go where, what teams have who on their big boards, how they can maneuver around, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. And the last one, this is one that we can answer quickly. Carrie asked, are you guys going to Summer League?
We should find out mid next week.
Yep.
And we'll let you know.
Nick will be there. He's credentialed.
We're going either way. All of us are going either way. I've already decided for us.
Okay.
Us,
Hey, Dad.
I think, Tommy, you're out, right? You said you aren't going?
This is correct.
Yeah, that's what I was, and I think Justin's out as well. So
I'm bringing
us
all
three
the
will be there in some
podcast money
capacity.
and betting it all on red.
Just
so
Yeah,
you guys
there you
are
go.
aware. Or should I go
That's
black?
okay. That's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, guys, let's take a quick trip around the association.
I don't even know where you're sitting at. Like.
There's not much around the association to do. It's just going to one particular city right now. Phoenix, Arizona, as the Bucks win Game 5. We're heading towards a closeout Game 6. Here's my question for you guys. Simple enough. We getting a Game 7?
Yup. Yes, sir.
See, that's how I felt. I felt that the Bucks were going to win last night, and I strongly feel that the Suns are going to win Tuesday.
Closeout games are incredibly difficult. Finals closeout games for a team that's never won it before, who none of their players have ever won it before, going to be just monumental. I think the Suns win Game 6. I think we go to a Game 7.
Can I vent real quick?
Yeah.
I'm going to completely change topics. Is that okay?
Uh-oh. All right. Yeah, whatever, man. Let's do it.
Why is JaVale McGee in the Olympics?
I thought you were going to be like, Giannis, I just don't know. No.
Is there any two better people to represent the United States of America than JaVale McGee and Draymond Green?
I mean,
Draymond Green is like today's Charles Barkley, so I don't give a crap. But yeah, JaVale McGee. I figured not Keon Johnson. My God, Keldon, same thing.
He had 15 off the bench tonight.
Yeah.
And like I thought that was a good pickup because he's already on the team anyways. He knows the Spurs system. He plays well with Pop. It can make sense, and he was one of the dudes that was playing really well. Yeah, exactly.
He's in shape.
And
Yeah, they dropped a 3-point shooting power forward and a shooting guard and added Keldon, which makes sense, like Kamir said,
Yep.
and then a bench center at best. See,
my
like,
confusion
That was
was
weird.
like how quickly that announcement came out. Like, was JaVale their first call?
Hell, there's no way. There's no way. I keep
I
on
think
thinking
like-
but I keep on thinking about the coaches, like Steve Kerr's or Pop was like, all right, well, Keldon's already here and he does all the dirty work for us at San Antonio and he's filling this role and like maybe inspires other guys to actually play hard on defense. And then like, hey, Steve, what's the guy with some grit that will like, that you really like? And Steve Kerr calls up JaVale McGee because I know they're short on big men, but it just makes too much sense that JaVale played for Steve and then Keldon already played for Pop.
I think
don't know.
that's it.
That's
There's a
good
lot
point,
of
Connor.
politics that
I
go
think
into this.
also you got to consider the guys that are not playing. Well, one of the main guy not playing is due to health and safety protocols.
Yeah.
If you're an agent of a player that gets a call and says, hey, do you want to last minute go to Tokyo and play in the Olympics? You're being called because there's a health and safety protocols issue going on in the team. You're probably going to be like, no. I would imagine
Trey Young was into it.
See, that's
at least 5 guys said no before they got to JaVale, is what I'm saying.
that. Yes, I agree with that. But the weird thing to me is that like Trey and Ja both came out like on Twitter publicly, like very upset they didn't get an opportunity, which makes me think that there's some kind of weird like old school, new school thing in the league going on right now, but or not in the league, but in Team USA going on right now with like Pop kind of being the head of that and basically telling these young guys like, oh, you guys will get your turn. Sorry. I don't know. It's just so strange to me. I don't get it.
If
I'd
JaVale
rather
was their
see
first
Moses
call, that's
Brown.
still a bad plan.
Yeah, right.
It's not good.
JaVale shouldn't even be on the damn list.
Right.
They should not have JaVale's
They sh-
number.
They should have just called.
JaVale's not even a top 20 center. Maybe not
JaVale
even
shouldn't even
top
be in
30.
the NBA. They should have just called Jokic. Should have just called Jokic. That's not how it works,
Just
but I
called
wish.
Jokic.
I
mean,
how
he
it
has
works. I wish it
American
worked that way.
citizenship now, right? So I mean,
He
he's
said
good
he
to
said
go.
no to
Dual
his home.
citizen.
He said no to his home country. Can you imagine how that would go over?
Oh, yeah.
In gold. That's how it will go over.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's just a mess, man.
It really is. But
But
like linking
going
that back
back
to
to
the
the
finals,
Yeah,
You got
I told
those
Jake
guys-
today. Suns and 7, man.
well, those guys, as soon as that series is over, it's Middleton, Book, and then I think there's one other, Drew Holiday. I think all 3 of them are apparently heading to Tokyo.
Yep.
So that'd be a huge, much needed boost to this Team USA.
Yeah, but how
I'm
tired
with you
are those
guys.
guys going
Those
to be?
7. Oh,
Like,
you're
holy
right.
crap.
I
You know what would have been awesome? Evan Mobley. They bring
Yeah.
on the rookie again, like they
Yes.
did back in the day. That'd be
And
sick.
Cunningham, let Cade
That'd be
play.
sick.
And bring in
Yeah,
Jaylen
but
Suggs.
Those agents are saying, hell
Oh,
no.
for sure.
Fair.
But
Yeah,
You
let's
don't
go
wanna
to
risk that injury.
Tokyo. Freaking snap your leg in half, pull a Paul George, need amputation, and
That's
then you don't
true.
go in the draft.
it'd be sick.
Okay. Remember when that happened? You could see that.
Actually, the Olympics starts on draft day, I think, so they'd be fine.
Yeah, that's the good.
Well, the contract isn't signed on draft day.
They would if Evan Mobley snapped his leg the day after he was drafted, they'd still sign his ass.
Probably.
They
I don't
would.
know.
They would. You're telling me they're going to take that number 3 pick and then not sign him and just waste it?
Well, you wait 2 years to sign it at that point because you have his rights.
That's Joel Embiid all over again.
That's how you lose your guy when he comes back and he's still an All NBA guy and he doesn't want to play for you any longer.
And I mentioned Jabari Parker earlier. I'm reading that book by Jake Fisher, Built to Lose. And Embiid was going it was thought that Embiid was going to go number 1 to Cleveland until he had that injury in the pre-draft workouts, and they went with Wiggins instead. Milwaukee decided to go with Jabari, and Milwaukee really, really liked Embiid. And then Philly ended up getting Embiid.
When are you going to read my book?
Your book? You mean your article? Oh. You're talking
All
about
right,
your
last
slam
guy.
article,
He's got
which
a
I
whole
will.
library.
Last finals question before we get out of here. Of these 2 teams, which one is more likely to make it back to the finals next year?
Bucks.
Oh,
easy.
the Bucks by a mile.
Easy.
Chris Paul may not be there.
Yep.
I think I agree. I think Chris Paul will be there, but
I do too. But
at some point,
agreed.
The West is stupid still.
age catches up.
Yep.
Yeah, at some point the age is going to catch up. Yeah, I think I think the Suns will still be really good next year. I think the Suns have a phenomenal foundation, but I think the Bucks have a better chance of running it back.
I agree with that.
I mean, the Bucks have already got here. Yes, injuries helped a little bit, but I mean, Drew Holiday has had a horrible playoffs, and the Bucks, you put them in a half-court offense, and they basically just pull down their pants, shit at half court, and walk back on defense. I mean, they can't do anything in the half court.
Can't wait for campaign.
Drew
to
hasn't
secure
had
the
as
bag
bad
this
of
summer.
finals as people. Offensively, yes, it's been poor up until last night, but defensively, he's been a huge factor for this Bucks team.
Definitely. So, all right, guys. Awesome podcast. Thank you all for tuning in live. And if you are listening to this podcast the following day, thank you so much. Go drop a 5-star rating wherever you get your pods from. Nick will be live on the Spotify Green Room Monday evening, so go join him. We will be doing a live pod from the Green Room on Wednesday nights, and then we'll be back for another Green Room hangout on Friday, so tons of content coming your way before we are back for another live stream next Sunday at 9 p.m. Make sure to join our live stream on draft night. Be on the lookout for all of the contests and giveaways that we'll be tweeting out as we approach this next week. You guys have a great beginning of your week. We will talk to you soon. And as always, thunder up.